Hey there. Welcome back to the Biofield Hacker. Before we dive in, as always, just a quick note. Nothing I share here is medical, psychological, legal, or financial advice. It's purely educational and informational. I'm sharing my own experiences, insights, methods, and you're fully responsible for your own decisions, actions, and results. So please use your own discernment and seek qualified professionals when needed. Okay, with that out of the way, today I felt like getting a little more cerebral with our conversation. If you know me or have followed me for any length of time, you know that I really love diving into embracing my inner nerdy with deep thoughts and reflections about complex concepts that affect people deeply in their daily lives. So if you aren't fully awake today, you might need to grab a little more caffeine for this one. I want to chat with you about perception versus perspective. What you actually know versus what you believe based on what you were told. And when I say told, that can be verbally or inferred by some standard that you picked up somewhere throughout your lifetime. They're usually based on external influences somewhere. And here's why this concept is important. Beliefs create actions. And just like I've discussed with you before, this is all energy, every thought and every action. It's all of your energetic utilization. So back to the definitions and distinctions. Perception is how you sense and interpret reality. It's what you're receiving. Perspective is the standpoint or the angle from which you interpret or judge reality, what you're bringing. So just to kind of nail down this concept, let me give you a quick example of this from something at work. So think about this. A manager or leader walks into the office. They walk in quickly, they don't make eye contact, and they say nothing to you. They just go straight to their desk and start typing. So let's talk about that through perception, what you're receiving through an energetic lens. You may immediately sense that something is off. Maybe your stomach tightens or you feel uneasy, or you think their energy feels tense. That's your perception. You're picking up on their nonverbal energy and forming a felt impression. It's automatic. Think of it like a radar. You're feeling the shift in the atmosphere or your environment. So that was perception. On the other hand, let's talk about that same example through the lens of perspective. So perspective is how you interpret what just happened. And this is based on your personal filters, your past experience, your mindset, your mood. This is based on what you're bringing into the situation. So in order to really hammer home this concept, let's look at perspective with a couple different people. Exact same situation. So person A, their perspective could be filtered through, oh no, they're mad at me. Did I just mess something up? Person B, same exact situation, could be thinking in their head, they're probably just having a rough morning, nothing to do with me. Person C could think, they always act like that, no big deal, and think nothing of it. That's the exact same energetic input, but they're telling themselves totally different internal stories. Perspective is the meaning you assign to the energy you felt. Your perspective can reshape your perception. So if you learn that your manager was dealing with a sick child that morning, later, your future perception of that exact same behavior of them walking to the office and ignoring you might feel less threatening, even if the output energy hasn't changed. So really think about this. This concept is absolutely vital in cleaning up the mud in your proverbial mud, as we talked about in the other videos, in your biofield. It's vital to raising your vibration. Because here's the reality. You can't control others, no matter how hard you try. You can't control others or even situations, but you can control yourself and your mindset. Remember, when we're talking about this, being radically honest with yourself and taking full ownership of yourself, not talking about other people, of yourself, that's the important point in this whole thing. So when you're interacting or dealing with situations, you're responsible for the sum total of the energy you're expending in thought and intention and mindset and action and reaction. It's a simple concept, right? But this one's much harder in daily execution. So let me give you a hack that I often share with my clients to help you kind of get out of your own way. I like to give hacks on most of these videos. I'll try to do that on everyone, but no promises. I'll do what I want. All right. So let's go back to that same example that I was talking about with the manager earlier. The manager walks in quickly, doesn't make eye contact, and says nothing. Based on that, think about this. If I'm feeling snubbed, like he's being condescending, right? So say I think that in my mind. All right, so now for the hack. What I would do is I would take a minute in my mind to visualize myself on top of the Empire State Building. And what you're doing by doing this is you're observing said situation, my interaction with the manager, through the lens of being on top of the Empire State Building and looking down on it, right? And so when I'm in that observation mode, what I'm going to do is then, from the observation mode, I'm going to ask myself two questions. Nothing to do with him, but ask myself, what am I making this mean? That's my first question. I'm making this mean that he thinks he's better than me. I'm making this mean that he snubbed me. I'm making this mean that he's mean. I'm making it mean lots of things in my head, right? And then, even more directly, what is it triggering in me that is telling me something about how I actually feel about myself? Subconsciously, albeit most of the time. But what is it triggering in me? Why am I thinking he's being condescending, he's mad at me, he doesn't like me, he's snubbing me, anything that's going on in my head, right? So short version of this is he is a mirror telling me what I think about myself when it triggers me, right? So am I reacting from absolute truth or just emotion? So going back to my example, if he's triggering me, oh, he's being mean, or oh, he's being condescending, or oh, he thinks he's better than me, why do I have the perception that people are better than me, right? What is it telling me? What is he mirroring for me that I have somewhere deeply embedded in my subconscious? And is my response to the situation or the person energetic clarity? Or am I coming from a place of mud, toxicity, right? Negative vibes. Same situation when we went back to those three people, right? The example I gave you earlier of how those three people reacted. They're reacting very differently to the same energetic situation. Why? Because they're bringing different energy to it. They're bringing different perspectives to it through their lens, through their emotions. So when you think about it, what you want to do when you're analyzing it, how this works, how this example works, is name the feeling, right? I'm feeling X. I'm feeling defensive. I'm feeling ignored. I'm feeling overwhelmed, right? And then zoom out. Visualize yourself way above it, not in it, like watching the scene, right? From all the way on top of the Empire State Building. And then ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself about this? And why is it triggering me? Or what is it mirroring for how I feel about myself? And then get to the root of it. What is this emotion running the show? What is the absolute truth of the emotion? For me, not him. Here's why it works. It creates instant emotional distance and reduces your reactivity, right? It also uncovers hidden meaning-making patterns and energetic responses that come from your subconscious mud. It clears that away. It makes you think that, well, it doesn't clear it away. It identifies it for you. It also energetically infuses higher vibrations of unconditional love of yourself by inviting self-compassion into the mix and giving yourself grace, but you're not losing accountability and ownership for your own thoughts, your own emotions. It's about being intentional about both your mind and your energetic mastery. All right, I feel like that's enough for today. Fun with perception versus perspective. I hope you had fun getting your nerdy on with me today, too. The hack we talked about today, if you put it into a disciplined practice, can really end up being a huge change in the way you manage your daily energy. And frankly, as a result, can have a huge impact on your life, just because you were brave enough to be honest with yourself and own it. Until next time, take care.